Morning, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful, dreary day in North Carolina. Beautiful day to be here in the garage. Just got back from CMP with NASA Southeast. Another track day, trying to get any issues. I thought I had some of the tuning worked out on the carburetor a little better. So went with NASA Southeast to CMP. Car didn't run very well. Same issues I had last time. Run fine for about the first half the out lap, and then it would start breaking up on me. Had the fortune of sitting in the paddock right beside Briggs Motorsports from Savannah. Shout out to those guys, they were super awesome. They let me pick their brains, talk to them about some issues just having with the car, showed them spark plugs, and one of the guys there was pretty familiar with carburetors. So we looked at it and we got the carburetor leaned out about as best we could, and it's still fouling plugs up, getting them nice and black. So talked to them, talked to everybody else I could talk to about it that had anything similar, and everybody's suggestion was to go fuel injection. So that's what it did. It's been 4 or 5 days since I ordered some parts from Holley. Got here really quick. Got a Sniper 2 from Holley. Their throttle body fuel injection kit goes on top just like carburetor. It's a 4150 footprint, so it'll sit right there where that carburetor is. Also got the supplemental parts. Got a new fuel regulator, fuel pump, wire and harness. And because the car is running a CD box, I don't know if you can see it over there, an MSD ignition box, got their wiring here. I'll get this open one-handed, that sits there and plugs into that for the tack signal. So we're going to try my hand at this. I'm going to see if I can't take you along as I switch this car over from carbureted to fuel injection and see how well it goes for me. All right, so got the hood off. First step I got to do is take all this air intake off the top, take this little panel off here, and I'll be back with you. All right, so we got that off. Mike is struggling to get out of his hammock over there. So the way this was wired up for fuel, of course it's been running fuel cell on the back, line and return line running through the cabin here, fuel filter on your line, running up here, coming around, and it's hitting the regulator right here. So with the carburetor, the regulator is before the carburetor. It's regulating, make sure it's not getting too much fuel up in here. Then it's going here, there's your sender unit for your fuel pressure sensor gauge that's wired up inside. I'm going to take that off, put it on a new one here. Here's the new one, Holley 12886. It's what I called and talked to the tech. It's what he recommended. He said if you'd ordered the Sniper 2 with the fuel kit, that's what would have come with it. But since I don't need the fuel kit, it's already plumbed with lining and everything like that. I did buy a fuel pump. I'm going to try the one I have to see how much pressure I can get out of it. If I can't get enough, I of course bought the new pump. I'll wire in there and we'll go from there. So I got to change this around. I'm going to switch these up and run the line here. This will be your feeder line. It's going to run up into the throttle body. Then I'm going to come out with a return line, and the regulator will probably stay in this same general area if I can make that work, and run the regulator and then run the return all the way back to the fuel cell. So we're going to see if we can't just go ahead and get these supplemental things knocked out first and get this new regulator wired in. Alright, so got the old regulator off. There's no markings or anything on it. The car is using AN fittings, so I'm going to take as much as I can off the old one, put it on the new one. The only difference is this old one, where the fuel pressure sensor is a lot smaller. This one I think still 3/8. So I don't know if I'm going to cap this off and just run the fuel pressure sensor off of there, which is probably what I'll do. Plug in the vacuum line and still just run my 2 lines like normal. So I'm going to get these parts switched over, see what I need to do. Go about getting a 3/8 inch plug for that one, and we'll see how it goes from there. We'll see if we can't remount it into the car. Alright, so as you can tell, things have progressed. Was running into issues with the fuel pressure regulator. The car uses AN fittings, and I don't have any AN to NPT reducers. So it looks like it's a -8 AN fittings all over that. So I'm going to see if I can't go find a store local that carries them. If not, I'm going to have to order some online. But disconnected the throttle linkage and the return spring. There's only one vacuum line, and that was to the regulator. It's still on there. But I'm going to go clean this up here on top of the intake manifold get it dried up, and start putting the Holley EFI on. Alright, so welcome back. It's obviously been a little bit, as you can tell, the driveway's dry and everything, and had to plug a heater up in here. It's nice and cool. Was working through trying to get the fuel regulator mounted up and get that done. I don't know if I mentioned it or not earlier, but the car uses AN fittings for the fuel system. The fuel return line, the fuel line was a 6 AN. The return line is 8. I don't have any local stores that have any of those parts because this regulator here is 3/8 NPT, just threaded. So I'm gonna have to buy some adapters online and have them shipped here. So that's gonna take a little bit. So got rid of the fuel regulator here before the carburetor. It has to be mounted afterwards with fuel injection. So the fuel line is going to go directly here into the Sniper 2. That's going to be a 8N to a 6N reducer. Just screw that directly on there. Then I'm going to come out here and do a 6AN to a 3/8 NPT into the side of the regulator. It should mount out something like this. That'll allow me to get to it to make adjustments if I ever needed to. And also my return line will go directly into the bottom of this with another 3/8 to 8AN. And then I ordered a reducer online, and I'll plug this in here and wire the fuel pressure sensor to it, so I keep track of the fuel pressure in the cockpit. So I've already mounted up the Sniper 2. It's torqued down to their specs. I believe it's 60, it's either inch pounds or foot pounds. I don't remember off the top of my head. I got the book over there. I was sitting there doing everything. Took a picture of the throttle linkage on the old carburetor. Got it mounted up. The bolt was a little long that I had that was on the old carburetor. It was hitting over here, so I had to get a shorter bolt. I got my throttle return spring. It's free and clear, not hitting on anything. I've worked the throttle back and forth a few times. So I believe what's next is mounting the O2 sensor. This car fortunately has a little bong right there for it, so I'll go mount the O2 sensor and wire that back up. Alright, so it's the next day and things have progressed a little bit. Got the high pressure fuel pump mounted. Let's see if I can get some light. That's not its final location, but that's where it's going to stay for now until I can make sure it's working. I got everything tightened up. I'll have to figure out a way to mount it. It's a different design than the old one, so I'm going to have to come up with a different mounting solution. But there's the high pressure fuel pump. It's wired into its own relay that I can control from the dash of the car. Come back out here. Got the, again that turned on. Got the Sniper 2 installed yesterday, starting to run some of the wires. Have the O2 run to the bong down there. I don't know if you can see that down up in there. Oh, it's running there. I got some heat shielding on it to kind of protect that wiring. It's right there by the exhaust. This here has some DEI heat shield on it. This goes to the coolant sensor. I'm going to use the one down here in the side of the block. So that's my next thing, get that out. Got that spark plug wire off so I can get to that. I'm going to get that coolant sensor mounted up, and then we will go from there and keep doing some of the wiring. Alright, so we're back working on the car. Made quite a little bit of progress. Taking a little bit longer than I was hoping to. You know, little setbacks. Work on it when you can. Nothing crazy. So have the thermostat plug here inside of the block. That is plugged up with, I had to get a different thermostat than the one that came from, or coolant sensor from the one that came from Holley. I had to get an LS specific one. That's an AC Delco. But the Holley plug plugs right up into it. It's routed up through there to the back of the Sniper 2. It's clear of the throttle return spring and the throttle linkage. Have everything else plugged up. I'm going to clean this up. Once I get it all up and running, I'm going to take all this wiring, clean it up, probably hook it to the back of the tube frame back there, kind of get it up out of the way, clean it up, and do something with this. I don't know if I'm going to need this yet. This is the tack output from the Sniper to run it through the tack, but I didn't have to cut that wire kind of spliced into it here at the MSD box, so we'll see if that's still going to work. If not, we'll play with that. All our wires running through here. Gonna put a wrap on that and clean this hole up and kind of protect that. They had 11 different grounds running to the one post here, so put a ground bar, cleaned all that up. Go around to the other side here. Took the windshield out of the car, make it a little easier to work with. The ignition and the power to the Sniper are ran back here. I ran them to the the switch, ran them to the master here, so hopefully when I turn this off, it'll shut off the Sniper, killing the car, which is what this needs to do. Got the screen mounted up over here. This came with some 3M mounting tape. It's pretty solid. I mean, the whole dash is moving. Wires ran up underneath into here to kind of clean that up some, so I'll be able to see everything inside the car, make any adjustments out while I'm sitting here in the car. Fuel pump is mounted. The only thing I'm waiting on still is I got the regulator here. Got one of the mounts in for the return line. Still waiting on an adapter to go from this 6AN. Just in case you're wondering, these are 6AN fittings that come on here. Waiting on that to come in so I can plug it into the side of the regulator here, hook it to the return line. I just got a reducer in yesterday for this, for the fuel pressure gauge. So I'm gonna mount that here in just a few minutes and get back with you. Alright, so gonna turn the computer on. Let it go through its thing. Do the initial setup. Sniper 2. 8 cylinders. 364 cubic inches. Guess we'll try for like a 950 target idle. Cam, no power outer. CD box. Start. Cycle the ignition. If I do this, it'll, not the first time I tried that. Let's see, ignition's on, off. Okay, finish. Back. We've got a, what is it, I believe, monitor? Yep. Multi-gauge. Yep. Let's see, tuning. Alright, I'm gonna have to go back and look at initial startup. There it is. Alright, so engine RPM 000. Temperature 63. Let's see. I'll go back and look at the book and see what it's calling for, because IAC is at 77. Alright, fuel pump is on here. Fuel pressure's up. Reading everything in here, even in their example it says 77, so go ahead and hit the starter and see what happens. Yep. Not getting any RPM signal. I'll have to go back and check that wiring into that CD box and see where we can go from there. Alright, so it's been a little while. I'll give you an update and rundown on what's been going on with the car. Got the, let's see if we can snip back there. The Sniper 2 is installed on the car. Coolant sensor is unplugged right now. Like I said, everything else has been done. If you'll notice, there's no spark plug wires on the car. It's because I've been, the last couple days, working on the idle air control with the Sniper 2. It's definitely been my most painstaking thing to do with the car. Thought I got it all worked out. The car was running, idling good. Was going through all the accessories. Had to wait on a couple extra fittings because the air cleaner box wouldn't sit on top of it the way I had it plumbed. So I had to get those new fittings in. So while that was going on, I just had the air cleaner off, getting idle air control, everything going. Got it running nice and smooth, not too bad. Put the air cleaner on, and of course that slowed down some of the air coming into the Holley. And fired it up, and the IAC was all over the place again. So was going to start working on that, getting that squared away, but that's when I noticed it was cold today, so the car was cold, hadn't cranked it up yet, so I was going to come in, pull the plugs, check the plugs and the wires just before I got it all nice and hot, and found a couple of my wires that burned through. You can see them all here. So I've done, as you can see, every little bit of heat shrinking or heat protection I can, the boots, all that stuff. And even these boots with these headers, the way they sit, some of them end up just sitting on the headers. So Did some looking. Gonna order me a set of Scott's around the front spark plug wires. They go all the way from the back here, like I think the ones in the back are like 42.5 inches long. They go all the way underneath the headers here, all the way around to the front, which point they'll come across the top and plug in wherever they're needing to go. So I'm gonna get that. That should be a little bit, but just, you know, like everything else goes with cars, solve one problem and another one arises. Seems like the only way to fix it is to keep putting money at it until the wife kills me. We'll see what happens there. She's been supportive so far, but I can tell she's getting kind of frustrated with me, and I don't blame her. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the car in the shop, or in the trailer, let it stay a little warm. It's like 28 degrees out here. Did put some antifreeze in the car. It had just straight water in it from running at the track, and I was afraid about the block cracking, and I don't have my own garage to keep it in all winter. So put some antifreeze in it, let it run yesterday with antifreeze in it. Probably put a small heater on it when it gets real cold in the trailer. Just kind of keep it a little warm. Not too worried about it, but don't want to break anything if I don't have to. Then I did notice when I was doing that water in there was super corroded. So I'm gonna flush the whole system come next year. Once it gets above freezing and stays above freezing, I'm gonna flush that whole system, get all that corrosion out of there. But yeah, just waiting on them new spark plug wires from Scott's. Holley fires up, cranks, runs. Sorry about not videoing any of that. I kind of, as you saw the last time, was going to crank it up, wasn't getting the right signal. Turns out that pink switch wire that they say goes to your ignition switch, I've wired them both to the master here. So when this was getting power, it was turning on the Holley and everything like that, which was great. But whenever I went to upload a file, a tune into the ECU and the actual Sniper from there, I couldn't shut off power just to the ignition, and the whole Holley was losing power. So every time I did that and try and crank it back up or turn it back on, it would just restart all over. So I ended up taking that pink wire and running it actually to my ignition switch here. So that allowed me to turn that off. That would reset and I could upload files. So after I did that, I mean, I had no issues whatsoever. All my sensors worked. The RPM signal wired into the MSD box over there, everything was going just fine. So no issues at all with that. I got the hood, the windshield back on, the dash back on. Got the hood over there. I'm gonna go and put those louvers in it while at the house. But other than that, car's gonna sit for a couple weeks as I get the spark plug wires, and it's coming up on Christmas, so I'm gonna spend some time and money on other things other than this car for a while. But hope to take it to Roebling Road in January with NASA Southeast. We'll get it up and running from there. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.